Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the next episode of the Mint Mob Podcast. Jason here, joined by my buddy Alex across the pond in Germany. We've got quite a few topics to jump into today. But before we do, let's hear Alex inhale like he normally does and say hello. What's up, buddy?
Dude, I'm not even allowed to breathe anymore.
No, you got to do it. You got to do your traditional.
All right. People expect that, like they're like, this is AI. If there's no breathing, no inhaling in the beginning.
Too funny.
All right, so everything good on my end. When we spoke about topics we have for today, I was thinking about the markets because we had like so much art action going on recently. We haven't really spoken about the markets for quite some time, and I mean there is quite some movement, right? Like we've seen Bitcoin go from its all-time high, 126, all the way down to 92 right now. People are panicking as always, as expected, actually. And here we are. What are you doing? Are you buying the dip?
Of course. I started buying when it dropped under 100, when Bitcoin dropped under 100. And I bought Bitcoin, Solana. I haven't bought any ETH. Not really seeing a lot of great things on the ETH side of things, but yeah, Bitcoin and Sol for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think for the first time I read that Strategy's holdings are, or like they're let me see, let me get it right. There was like one thing that happened for the first time ever. I think the value of the Bitcoin they hold is less than what they owe. Let me than their debts, I think. And I already saw so many posts about like, hey, Strategy's going down now. If Bitcoin keeps dipping a little bit more, they will be forced to sell their Bitcoins. I think just today or like a couple days ago, they bought 800 million or something of Bitcoin again. So what do you think? Does Strategy go down if Bitcoin price keeps going down?
I don't think so. I mean, Saylor's a really smart guy, and this isn't his first sort of rodeo with what's happening in the tech world. I mean, a lot of people are too young to know that, he wrote a book about, what was happening with mobile phones called the mobile wave, I believe, way back, I guess, 15, 16, 17 years ago, whatever it was. And he talked about, Apple and where Apple was going, and he made some pretty bold predictions about Apple stock and the other tech giant stock and how it was going to the moon and this kind of thing. And no one really believed him. And, here we are 15, 16, 18 years later. And, he was absolutely right. Like these are some of the most valuable companies on the planet. And I don't think Bitcoin's going to be any different. And so at the end of the day, he's talked extensively about his strategy in purchasing Bitcoin and how they've set up the debt that they've accumulated to acquire Bitcoin to not mature for, many, many years out into the future. So unless Bitcoin just goes down and stays down, they're in no danger at all, which is why they're able to take free cash and spend almost another $1 billion and pick up more tokens over this past week. So, when you look at it that way, like if they were in any trouble at all, they wouldn't have been spending free cash on more tokens. So I think it's just the immaturity of the market, not understanding the trends and where things are going, and everyone wanting a short, ridiculously short time horizon. Saylor keeps talking about a 4-year time horizon, and he's basing this obviously on the Bitcoin cycle. But we are seeing the Bitcoin cycle break down. It's probably a case to be made for the fact that it's really no longer valid, and with more and more institutional buyers and businesses coming into the marketplace, with Square opening up Bitcoin payments globally for something like 30 million businesses now. Like you can actually transact in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. So unless the adoption story changes, all pullbacks will be temporary. And then that's the only thing that anyone needs to know. All of the rest of it is just bullshit, noise, fear mongering, somebody trying to sell you some stupid shit. That's all it is, So if you just separate yourself from the nonsense and look at the adoption story and the reality, then you'll be just fine. If you try to play Johnny Trader and beat trading bots that are able to make decisions on fractions of seconds, you're going to lose. And this is the thing that I've been trying to drill into people's brain cells over the last 2 years that we've been doing this podcast. Stop thinking that you can beat the market, because 99% of the people won't and can't. If you're just smart enough to buy and hold and just wait and wait and wait, you will be rewarded. But the trading game is a game for, in most cases, very ignorant people. You know, a lot of this pullback, has to do with leverage longs, like deleveraging longs, right? And it was funny because over the last week, and I guess not funny, but it was funny that it came to be that we talked about this and it came to be, is that, all these leverage positions, I saw a bunch of quote unquote, crypto traders talking about, I lost $4 million, or, I lost $160,000. And they would post a picture of their trading account, and it was always a long or leveraged long position, or a leveraged margin account in some way, shape, or form. And it's like, guys, you're trading with money you don't have, and then you get, liquidated because you don't have the funds to pay back these loans. This only makes sense, So why would you trade with money that you can't pay back, right? And so, if you don't understand margin account, or, how leverage longs work, then you have no business being in the market trying to trade these products or these tactics. And unfortunately, people posting this stuff, they put so much fear into other people who don't even understand the products either, or understand why this is happening. They just see liquidation and they're like, oh, if you buy crypto, you're going to get liquidated. It's like, no, if you're just buying and holding crypto, you have no chance of being liquidated. But yes, if you borrow and you spend money on margin and you leverage yourself, and the tokens do the wrong thing, you're going to get fucked. So there you go. That's kind of the way I look at it.
But would you say that, leveraging your trade is always a bad idea? I mean,
No.
there are like people who leverage in a small size, maybe like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5x, instead of, taking a loan from the bank, and just wanting to hold more Bitcoin and get more profits, obviously. So in the end, I mean, when I see these posts, I mean, I see people with leverage sizes of, like, I don't know, 400x, right? Like, that doesn't make sense at all, because if Bitcoin dips $100, you get like liquidated immediately. So in the end, I think it might make change in Germany. It's like differently taxed if you actually trade with money you don't have. But in the end, I'm like, me personally, I like holding spot because I like to sleep at night. But the thing is, the only thing I kind of regret is I never really found a good exit for the small amount of altcoins I have left. And if I look at, people, the market sentiment, I see people saying stuff like, I don't know, if the weekly candle of Bitcoin doesn't close above 98,000, we are entering a bear market, blah, blah, blah. It didn't. So now many people claim we are in a bear market again for years and years to come. And that kind of sucks for me, because I know my altcoins are probably going to get less and less valuable, right? So the best chance to sell it was yesterday, and I'm probably like, right now I'm kind of hesitating, because I feel like if I sell now, I'm like one of the guys who sells in times of fear, of pretty high fear, actually. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to do with my altcoins, but obviously I want to get everything in Bitcoin as well, and just like accumulate Bitcoin and nothing else. Of course, like a little Solana, but probably like 80-20. What would you do, in my opinion, if you still held altcoins?
Well, I do still hold altcoins, and I was waiting for a better exit. But here's the thing. If you don't need the money right now, and you don't think that the tokens you're holding are going to go to zero, in other words, they might have some sort of, interest or push later on, there's nothing wrong with just holding them and waiting for a better exit. But the flip side of that is the opportunity cost. So if you see something that's in the marketplace that might be of better, like a better quality way of getting that money back, so to speak, right? Let's say, let's see, what's some token I'm holding I'm going to get rid of? Like, oh shoot, I can't even remember. Like Cosmos is one. I probably hold some Polygon that I'm gonna get rid of. Like these types of tokens, they're not going away tomorrow, and there is a chance that they could rally a little bit. But the truth is, like, if there's another asset that you could trade into that's going to have a bigger rally or better return, then it just makes sense to convert them to that asset, right? So you don't necessarily have to wait, right? And right now, for example, Monad is getting ready to launch, which is a ETH EVM compatible chain that is doing some unique things. They're going to be doing a processing or threading structure that allows for parallel processing or like multiple threaded processing, however you want to define that. And it speeds up the transaction processing on like the EVMs to like 10,000 transactions per second, which is pretty good for an EVM. Most of them are fairly slow relative to something like Solana. So they're getting a lot of push, and they're getting a lot of sort of interest, especially on the Coinbase market, because Coinbase has allowed its preferred members to pre-IPO buy, right? So before the token launches and the chain launches, you can actually buy the token at a discounted rate, or what you would assume would be a discounted rate before it hits the market publicly, right? So Coinbase is sort of opening up the opening up a way for the average person to have sort of an insider buy, right? And so like if I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, I've got all these shit tokens that I'm going to get rid of, and this Monad token is going live, and I can buy like 4,000 Monad tokens for $100. Well, it's probably going to double, triple, or quadruple on the day it hits. Well, do I just want to go ahead and like swap into this and just like quintuple whatever I get like 3 or 4 days into this Monad release? Because they always pop and then, and then they fall, right? And just play that trade. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. So like I might play that trade given the fact that it's got Coinbase backing, and they're doing some different things that haven't been done with EVMs, right? So it makes sense. And of course, the market is always keying on what's new, as opposed to what works. So whether it's good or not, everybody's going to show some interest. So the chances of that that 2.5 cent token going to like 10 cents are pretty good. And that might be a quick way for me to get funds back, right? So I might do something like that, and, but otherwise, like if the token's, been around and isn't going anywhere, there's really no rush to sell it or to move out of it unless you think the token's going to go further down, like approaching non-existence type levels, right? Because the truth is, once you get a rally, everything will rally. It's just going to be one of those situations where Bitcoin has to lead. And if Bitcoin leads, then these altcoins will follow.
Absolutely, but the problem is, and this is something I mentioned, I think before we jumped onto the podcast, there are actually projects right now quitting, with the recent dump especially. And there's actually one that was, I wouldn't say it's famous, but it's like it was pretty big back in 2021, which is Cardina, the Cardina token. They announced they are ceasing business operations. I think they announced that a few weeks ago. Their market cap was at like close to 4 billion back then in 2021. Dumped after that, and now they basically said they're shutting down systems, and I think they mentioned that the token and blockchain continuing under community governance, which means nothing, obviously. Token price went down. I think it's like, I'm not even sure where it is right now, but it's like in 30 days, it's like minus 92%. So yeah, it's basically zero. And this is kind of like a threat that you need to keep in mind, right? Like if you have your project, your altcoin, and you feel like, yeah, I'll just keep it because once anything starts to rally, everything rallies. But the truth is, there is always that little risk that expenses get too high for you for your favorite blockchain project, and they just shut down, right? And I just saw that right before we jumped on Spaces with another project, which wasn't. I'm not even sure if it was like a a blockchain, or like it was definitely a token, but the project was called D-Apparator. And I think they provided some sort of marketplace for D-apps. They have been pretty successful back in the days. And just 4 hours ago, after 7 years, they said goodbye to to their community, and they announced that they will shut down systems as well. And it's like crazy to see. I think if I read their announcement, their explanation was basically um, running a platform of this scale became financially unsustainable in the current environment. So yeah, basically costs are too high, not being sustainable anymore. Many projects shut down. Do you see that coming in the future as well? Like, do you, if I, like, because we always speak about, especially when people speak about altcoin seasons, they're like, we have way too many altcoins, nowadays, especially compared to 2021. Too many projects, too many blockchains that nobody really needs. And now we see projects shutting down. Do you think markets are healing? And it I mean it all consolidates to quality. That's what we always say. But do you think 90% of projects will just die and stop operations within the next couple of years?
Well, I can't give you a time scale, because the truth is the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. That's kind of the phrase that everybody uses. So, who knows? I mean, some of these projects might raise more money. They might, refuse to give up the ghost, whatever the case may be. They're going to fight to survive as long as it makes sense for them to fight to survive. But yes, I mean, this is something that we've been harping on, like literally harping on for a year or more. And probably for the last 2 years since we started the podcast, is like all markets consolidate to quality. I don't give a shit if it is like the banana market or the NFT market. It doesn't matter. People are going to buy and spend their money and their time with the best quality chains, with the best quality art, with the best quality people. It's just the way it's going to be. It's the way it's always going to be. And why would you expect it to be anything other than that? Because you would do the same thing, right? So for all these projects that are folding up shop, if you look at a lot of the ways that startups have been run, actually one of the books I'm reading right now is called 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. It's always all about startups and founding a company. And he talks at length about this type of stuff that he experienced back during the .com era when he was running PayPal. When him and Elon got together and actually joined forces to create PayPal. He ended up running that company, and he saw a lot of stupid stuff going on in Silicon Valley. And the same thing that he's talking about in the book is happening in the crypto world right now. People are throwing money at ideas with no proof. They're throwing at money at ideas with no profit. And this, of course, is a recipe for disaster. This is exactly what happened in the .com bubble. And the same thing will happen here. All of these people who are over leveraged, who are stretched too thin, who haven't been conscious of their budgets, who've overspent money on development or servers or whatever the case may be, they are going to fail and they are going to quit. And your job as a participant in the marketplace is to decide who wins and loses based on where you spend your time and your tokens. And in this case, that represents your monetary value. So at the end of the day, there is no escaping the fact that all markets consolidate to quality. And if you have competing chains, like all of these 45 or 50 ETH L2s that are competing for the same population and business, most of them are going to fail. I can't tell you when, but the fact is they are duplicitous in their marketing, and they are duplicated in their services, and that makes them useless. So as long as they are useless and they're not acquiring new use cases for business or for investors or for application development or whatever the case may be, even if it's a good product that can't be sold or they're not selling it very well, it is going away. And so what you want to look for is activity and adoption in and around the chains or the projects or the NFTs that you're interested in. And if you don't see innovation, you need to get the fuck out like yesterday. right? Like convert it to something else, have a plan, have an exit strategy. Because again, just like we had the dot-com bubble with all these companies with zero profits, and people literally paying dinner bills with shares of stock, like that type of thing has been happening right now in Web3 for a long time. And that's coming to an end very shortly. And the good thing about that is that the faster that happens, the faster we see who the winners are, the faster more funds consolidate to the winners. So I'm not even looking outside the top 10, really not outside the top 5. Your Bitcoins, your ETHs, your Solanas, your BNB, which I don't own any BNB, probably never will. I'm not looking out past that at this point. I might speculate on something like a Monad, but I'm not looking to hold it because again, it's just an ETH EVM, and there's literally no barrier to entry to someone else coming along and creating another EVM that does like multi-threaded transaction processing, kind of like what they're talking about, right? That's kind of the big shtick. It's faster, but there's no real barrier to entry to other chains adopting that type of technology or modifying their chains. So I'm just betting on the foundation and their ability to market. And, maybe I make a little bit of money on that. Maybe I don't. But I'm not looking to hold it long term. Because again, it's duplicated all over the place.
I actually hope that Solana surpasses ETH, and I can only hold Bitcoin and Solana until the end of time. That's what I'd like. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, like kind of witnessing the market sentiment right now, and everyone is like in a bad mood again, and it's like you said, right? Like it's mainly the leverage traders who lost a shit ton of money. I get that, everyone who has been waiting for, I don't know, an altcoin season or something and haven't really found an exit is obviously, kind of kind of exhausted and maybe even sick of the crypto markets. But in the end, Bitcoin was never bad, right? Like even if you look at the performance of the prices and everything, if you just stick to Bitcoin, you would have been happy all the way along, especially if you invested back in 2022. So, what we see, what's pretty interesting is that we have heavy outflows out of the ETF. I think I saw that almost 800 million went out again, and or like don't let me spread false information here. But I think Grayscale is holding less Bitcoin than it did before, shortly before launching the ETF. And what do you think? Do you think the average ETF buyer is panic selling because they're not used to the volatility of crypto markets?
I think that most people who are in the crypto market in general have not been through an investment cycle anywhere else and think that this is somehow a different animal. It isn't. It's never going to be, especially now that you have more and more corporate buyers and more large institutional buyers. It's only going to look more and more like the traditional market. We wanted regulation because we wanted banking to be updated. We wanted clarity around tax so that we could know, hey, this is legal or this is illegal. We're getting all these things. And then, of course, that brought in institutions, which brings in institutional mentalities, which brings in institutional money and also institutional traders. And when we're talking about all of those things, you are not going to beat these guys. You're not. Like, you don't have the funds. And you sure as hell don't have the funds to purchase the AIs and the computers and the programs that they have running to make sure that their portfolios don't see massive losses. You cannot compete. So you can be ignorant to the fact that, oh, this is different, it's crypto. Or you can just understand that human psychology doesn't change just because the name of the market changes, right? Nobody wants to lose money. Institutions need to make money for their holders and their investors. That's why they're in business. And in order for them to do that, they have to take profits and they have to move markets or trade markets in a way that makes sense for them to pull a profit. The end. So if you think you can beat them, and you want to be in one of these little trading groups talking about looking at charts and this and that and the other thing, good luck. You're not going to beat them. So your best bet is just to look at the long-term trend, buy the long-term trend and do nothing until it makes sense for you to do something, right? So, I mean, that's really, I mean, when you boil it all down, that's really what I think, and that's really the only thesis that I'm going to operate under. Again, like if I get an opportunity that I think is going to do well, like obviously a Trump coin, and I can make 16 grand in one night, I'm going to do that, you know? So thank you, Trump coin. If I could do a monad pre-IPO and I think I could 4x my money, which again, I could be completely wrong. Don't listen to me, but I think I can at least 4x my money on that. If I do, then I'm going to take that profit and say, thank you, crypto market, and take that money and buy Bitcoin, right? But if you're the type of person that thinks you're going to look at a crypto chart and somehow, you know, magically divine from chicken bones and crystal balls that it's going to do this in 5 minutes and this an hour later, I think you're full of shit, and I think you're kidding yourself, and I think you just need a reality check. And unless you're dealing with really big money anyway, it's not going to serve you. So, I mean, if you're playing with $1,000 and you take a 10% gain and it took you all afternoon to do that, you know, 5 or 6 hours, then congratulations, you made $15 an hour. You should have just been working at Starbucks. Like at the end of the day, if you're moving massive quantities of funds around, it's a different story. Like if you're playing with $10,000 or if you're playing with $100,000 and you move and you make a 10% move and you made 10 grand that afternoon, okay, now you've got my attention, right? But for the average person, it doesn't make sense to trade. It makes sense to buy and hold. And unless you're making big money with big moves, it doesn't make sense to trade because the percentage movements are not going to give you what you could just make at a job. And the risks are way higher. So if everyone could just like pop the top of their head open and like instill those few programs, you know, the world would be a much better place in crypto land.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, you know, human psychology does not change. Like, what's your opinion on, you know, many people are using AI bots, you know, to trade crypto and everything, and you know, as you said, the weak point in trading is usually, you know, human psychology, human emotions. People do not trade logical or follow, you know, what markets usually do. And if now you suddenly have AI bots trading against each other, who wins now?
Whoever has the best AI bots. It's that simple, you know? I mean, AI is just AI is a system of correlation, right? And so AI can't do anything with new information. It can only do something with existing information, right? So if you're going to beat an AI bot at anything, then you have to have some information that is not available to the bot, you know? And so when you looked at like the Go, you know, like the Go champion that lost to the AI, the game that he won because he did just some ridiculously stupid move that no human being would do. And the AI was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? I've never seen this before, right? And so then the AI screwed up and he was able to win that one game, but the AI won the match because it won more games, right? So the AIs can only be beat with information they've not been exposed to. The end. So if you know something about the market that the AI doesn't know, then you have the potential to create a win. It's just like the guy who I forget his name, but during the financial crisis of like 08, 9, 10, when real estate market got beat to shit and the banking world got beat to shit because everybody was over levered. There's the one guy, they made the movie about him, I forget his name, but he bet that the subprime mortgages were going to default, right? And he did this using knowledge that wasn't common to other people in other institutions. And of course, they had machines trading then as well. But he went and bought a massive insurance policy and bet a tremendous amount of money that the subprime market was going to fail. And of course, it did. And he raked in all kinds of cash from that one idea that no one else had access to. So if you want to win asymmetrically, then you have to know something that the people around you don't know from an asymmetric standpoint. which means that you're betting that these AIs have not been fed information that you have been fed. And the only way to get that type of information is to be like boots on the ground, watching something happen in real time, firsthand. And so few of us, have that access to markets. Like the markets are just so big and global now. Like, how would you know? Unless you're Nancy Pelosi, of course, and you work for the government, and then you have all the insider information, and you can make $174,000 a year, but somehow have a 9-figure net worth, right? Like these fucking criminals who've stolen from people and continue to do so. Like that's the type of person who's going to be able to beat these markets. The people who have the information before the markets and the computers can get the information.
Yeah, that sounds pretty unfair to me, but yeah, it's true. Unfortunately, right? Like this is what even the average market participant tries to do. Get information others don't have, and use it to your benefit. But yeah, the reason I spoke about AI is actually because you just told me that there is a #1 hit in the United States created by AI. I haven't validated this information yet, but crazy, man, right? Like what a time we live in.
Indeed. So you're talking about the country song?
Yeah, exactly. The first 30 seconds don't even sound too bad.
The song is actually really good. Really good. And when you listen to the song, the vocals on the song are so good. The listener, I mean, like as a listener, you can't help but love it. Like the melody is really catchy. The video's kind of, it's really masculine. It's really male oriented. Like there's a forcefulness and a strength to it that you don't see in a lot of songs. So it's very different. And then you throw in these vocals, and the vocals are very soulful. And I can totally see why people vibe with it. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. We've already seen the first AI movie created or coming out in the next couple months. And, you can see scenes from it, and, you can spot that it's still sort of AI-ish, but it looks fairly real. And unless you're really keyed in on those things, you may not think it's AI characters generated for the screen. The same thing with this. It's really, really well done. Like I said, the song is catchy. And I mean, there's a reason that hit songs are hit songs. I mean, there's a formula to them, and this song sort of hits on all of those sort of key, like interest points of the listener's ear. So I heard the song just yesterday. I was listening to the radio. They were talking about this while I was driving. So when I got home, I pulled it up, and I was like, oh wow, that's really quite good. And the visuals are pretty strong. So between the video aspect of it, like this handsome, rugged cowboy figure, and then you throw in these soulful vocals on top of it, it's like what every man wants to be and what every woman wants in their man. So it's all the things, man.
Yeah, but isn't it kind of scary? Like if an AI can just build a hit, and it knows the formula, right? Like it knows, okay, I need a certain amount of BPM. I need I don't know, these kind of vocal chords. I need this topic, and I know it's going to be a hit, and people are going to love it. This is kind of like, I don't know, like, don't you think artists, like real artists, are kind of worried about that kind of stuff? I mean, you can actually transfer that to art in the real world as well, right? Like if AI can create an image or paint an image or use watercolors or I don't know, whatever, charcoal or whatever, and create a beautiful image, and like the formula is there, like what do we need artists for?
Yeah, so I mean, the role of artist and art will change, of course, as this evolves, because again, like we talked about with trading and computers, AI can only produce what it's been exposed to, at least at this point. It's a correlation machine, and yeah, it's really good. I mean, especially with some of the interactions I've had with Anthropic and with Grok writing code. Like it's getting really good at remembering conversations and that sort of thing. So it's starting to develop, almost its own little personality in some way, shape, or form. So for artists in the future, again, to really stand out against something that is, let's say you had a market saturated with AI, to stand out, you would want to create a form of art that AI has not been exposed to or hasn't created itself. The challenge with that might be that once AI sees it or processes it, that it then starts to create in that particular style, right? But there's always going to be a desire for human creativity, even in the face of AI. So, I mean, I really don't think as a creative, you have a whole lot to worry about just yet. I think from a standpoint of, like tasks that require like a lot of reading and processing, like if you're a lawyer or you're a real estate agent or you're, doing like mortgage or title or something like that, like your days are numbered and they're numbered shortly because AI can process all that stuff in seconds and do it for pennies on the dollar and eliminate a million jobs like literally overnight, right? So I don't think the average person has to worry too much about that just yet. The jobs that are for sure secure are going to be like hands-on, like building type jobs where you have, plumbers or electricians or, highly articulated tasks that need to be performed with human hands. These are the roles that are going to go last because humans are afraid of like humanoid type robots and they haven't been developed yet. But then again, you've got the Optimus robot that's coming online and, Elon and Tesla keep talking about the fact that Optimus will be the next surgeon, right? So they're trying to create a robot who has such dexterity and such an understanding of the human body that it can actually perform surgeries better than a real life human doctor, right? When that happens, then all of your jobs like plumbers, electricians go away because now you have a robot that can use its hands in the same way that a human can use its hands, right? But there will still always be a demand for human created material. And the reason for that might be nostalgia. It might just be like a bias. Like right now there's a bias in the NFT market for work that's not AI based. It's like, okay, well, hand-drawn stuff has a higher, it's higher on my list of hard things to do. And, I don't think that's going to go away. Like, so for a human to look at another human and have admiration for that human, then that human that we're admiring has done something that we haven't done or that we aspire to do. So it could be running a 200-mile race or squatting 400 pounds or earning $1 million a year or whatever the thing is. But we admire other humans because they're able to do things that we perceive as hard, right? And creating art by hand is always going to be perceived as more difficult than creating art, generated by a machine. So there'll always be a desire for something like that. And I think probably what will happen is AI, quote unquote, art will become almost like an assistant to an artist. And maybe the artist is the director and the AI is sort of the executioner. And the director says, do this with like verbal prompts. And the AI sort of interprets it and it becomes more of a conversation. And so the AI sort of executes the idea quickly as opposed to, like right now with an artist would have to, sort of start a new canvas or start over or erase work that's already been done. Like the AI can just do all that instantaneously. But I don't see any world where, human creativity goes away completely.
Yeah, generally I agree, but I mean, like if I look at the pace of, like how AI is evolving, I mean, last year we were speaking about AI not being able to create a human hand, and it kept creating humans with 6 fingers, and this year we are talking about the first AI movie, which looks crazy good, and AI music and everything. And like I'm not sure, maybe one day it's able to create some sort of human like creativity, and it does all these things. And even today, I think just a couple of weeks ago I read about something like um people tend to like get worse at writing because everyone is just chat gpting its own text, right? Like when you write mails or letters or whatever, You just tell ChatGPT what you want to say, or Grok, or whatever AI, and it writes it for you in a perfect style, right? And you always feel like, okay, I couldn't have done that better, and suddenly you lose the ability to write a good letter, or a good email, or you kind of always rely on AI. And I kind of worry about the future, that we lose that kind of creativity, because we always rely on AI, and we feel like it does everything better than we ever could. And we are not there yet, but this is what I mean when I talk about the pace, right? Like it's evolving so fast. And yeah, it's like I think it's like the best thing you can do is use it as a tool, as you just mentioned, and work with it. But in the end, it's definitely going to cost a lot of jobs around the world.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that's kind of the point of it all, right? Like infinite abundance is the word that keeps getting tossed around, or the phrase that keeps getting tossed around. So yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that it's going to disrupt the labor market. I mean, I think that's a foregone conclusion. The question is to what extent and which jobs go first. And, like right now,
Yep.
if you're in college and you're studying to be a lawyer, chances are there's going to be an AI lawyer that's way better than you'll ever be, because it can constantly update its files and remember literally every single legal case and precedent from now until the history of time. So, you're never going to be that good, you know? So at the end of the day, you're just going to have to position yourself in a way that you feel is going to move you toward like the best outcomes. And there's going to be a period of disruption that looks really strange to most people. And what that looks like, we don't know yet. Whether it's an income issue
If
or poverty issue, we don't know yet.
if someone pitched you the idea to have an artificial intelligence as a judge instead of a real person, would you agree to do that?
Well, it depends on the circumstances, right? It really would. And I mean, right now, no. But 5 years from now, when AI is as close to sentient as it's probably going to be in my lifetime, then yeah, I'd probably say, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. I mean, even though like in the United States, I think you guys have a jury, right? Like these guys decide whether you are guilty or not. But I think in most other countries, you just have like the judge who's making the decision.
Yeah, here we have a jury trial, so you have to convince the majority of the jury that this person is,
Yeah.
either guilty or not, and then the sentence is handed out. Sentencing is handed out by the judge, and the judge sort of runs the trial proceedings, right? But the judge does have certain powers and can actually override a jury if it's obviously wrong. So, yeah, we do have we do have that set up.
Okay. Yeah. So away from AI, let's speak a little bit about NFTs. And we actually have a pretty big drop coming up on the end of November. The very next batch mint, the first ever animated batch mint, is coming. And do you remember when we dropped the last batch mint? I think it's been a while, right? Like, was it last year?
No, we just did the females earlier this year, of course. But for the males, yeah, it's been a while. It would have been last year. We haven't done any male drops this year, male OG drops this year for sure.
Crazy. Yeah, so we will have the first ever animated male badge, of course. It's like the how many animated pieces did we have? I think we had Hannah's piece, we had a 21's piece, and this is basically it. And yeah, so we are looking forward to that. You will get all the information on that drop, of course, in the Discord first. And yeah, creating these pieces is actually kind of frustrating, but also a lot of fun. I think many people have discovered animating their favorite NFTs on social media, and it kind of lets you see the piece from a different angle. Like you can discover it completely new, and I think it's a pretty cool feature. And yeah, let's see whether we continue having animated pieces, or if this is like a once in a lifetime thing. But we probably should have an animated female batch as well. And we will maybe continue creating animated pieces in the future, because obviously, AI and all the tools evolve, and it's getting a lot easier. You don't need to be like a professional editor to create these pieces. But yeah, it's fun. I'm looking forward to show the pieces I created, and it's most likely going to be Black Friday. Black Friday is on November 28th. Am I correct, Jason?
I think so. Yeah, Black Friday is always the day after Thanksgiving, and for those of you guys not in the States, Thanksgiving is always the third Thursday of November, whatever day that happens to fall on. So this year, I think the 28th would be the Friday following, and the 27th would be Thanksgiving. So it'd be one of those days where everybody's kind of tired of eating food and hanging out with family and ready to do something else. So that should be kind of fun.
It's actually funny when I see videos, of like Black Friday from the United States. Is it actually that crazy that people, run into the stores and want to get anything because it's very cheap, or are these like exceptions?
It's not like that anymore. I mean, Black Friday today is basically just, stores advertising a specific sale or something like that. But in the past, they used to do really interesting, sales, like, or really high value sales. Like maybe you wanted a new television or something, right? And they would sell TVs for like $50 or something ridiculous. But nowadays it's just all cheap, chintzy crap. Their deals really aren't that good. And so it's not like it was when it first came about, where people were lining up around the block, the night before to get into the store. That almost never happens anymore. It's just more of we're running a sale. Here's some cheap crap. If you want to buy this cheap crap, feel free. And so I haven't done anything Black Friday in probably over 10 years.
Yeah, that's like the cheapest way to advertise, right? Like I feel like you have these sale signs in front of the stores like almost all around the year. But like what's actually the story behind Black Friday? Why is it called Black Friday?
I really don't know. I haven't done anything other than just participate in the few years that it took place. I think it just came down from like when I think it just arrived from the terminology of like when you have a blackout, like people are like covering a thing up. I think it just came from like this energy around people wanting to to participate in this thing, and because it was so crazy and so sort of over the top, it was like a black day. Like you had to fight traffic, you had to fight lines. All the rest of it just sort of evolved in this sort of idea. But I mean, as far as where the term came from, that's where my imagination takes me. But, I would definitely, if you're really curious, do some research on that. But yeah, I don't know if there's any specific meaning behind it. I doubt it very seriously.
Crazy. So it was probably just an invention to make people believe everything is so cheap that day and you can get the best deals. It's actually funny, right? Like Christmas is actually like the same almost. Like especially you guys, you have so many, holidays. You basically celebrate every month. It feels like. But yeah, as I said, I think I mean whatever happens in the United States happens here as well. Like of course we have Black Friday everywhere too, and every store is basically announcing big deals and big bonuses and everything. So yeah, I think Black Friday is a great choice to have the first ever animated batchment. We look forward to that. And as I said, I look forward to complete the batch this week. And yeah, keep an eye out on X, of course. I'll share a few sneak peeks. And anything else we need to mention?
No, well, we have the next drop is actually Daria's piece, and that's super important because it is a commemorative
I forgot.
piece.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, how could you forget, man? Anyway, yeah. So this commemorative piece is super important, and it's incredibly good work. So we want to make sure that we promote that to the highest degree possible. And this is a commemorative piece for Iryna, who was killed on a train by some animal here in the U.S. And Daria is a Ukrainian artist. Iryna was a Ukrainian immigrant who was working here in the U.S. And this piece that Daria did is just absolutely stunning. I can't wait to show it to you guys. You'll absolutely love it. So from that standpoint, the animated batch takes a secondary role. Obviously, that's not for 2 weeks out. The Iryna drop is this Friday, and so you'll see Alex and myself posting a lot about it leading up, because we really want to make sure that this piece finds its way into the world, and this young woman is not forgotten, and hopefully this animal gets put under some whatever jail he gets thrown into. But at the end of the day, good people trying to make their way in the world need to be remembered, and this is just one way of doing that. Oh, and just as an aside, according to Grok, Black Friday, the term black comes from downtown merchants throughout the nation having big shopping days, and these were normally the days after Thanksgiving, and the stores are said to go into the black for the year, meaning they're in profit. So Black Friday refers to the first day where stores go into profit, and that's an accounting term. So if you're in the red, you're losing money. If you're in the black, you're making money. So Black Friday refers to stores making money.
Wow, man, wouldn't have thought that. But yeah, one thing I wanted to add regarding the Iryna piece is, we all know there is that terrible story behind that piece. But even if we would not have that, even if that was a standalone piece, it's actually so beautiful, right? Like it looks so good. And I remember when Daria shared this drawing for the very first time. It's been a while. I saw it and I was like immediately in love with it. So I think people are going to enjoy it. And as you said, remembering Iryna, we all have that terrible video in mind that was, all around social media at that time. Such such an innocent, human being sitting in the train or in the bus, getting stabbed from behind. It's so terrible, and yeah, we hope that this kind of stuff does not keep happening. And of course, Iryna will be remembered, and we want to, you know, we want to be in the position to pay tribute to her, and yeah, hope you guys like it as much as we do. This Friday, which is going to be, let me just put out a date here, Friday the 21st, of course. We'll be live on Spaces. We will cherish that piece with you. We will cherish Iryna, and yeah, I think this should be it for today, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Can't say enough good things about Daria and her work. She's done some incredible things and continues to learn and hone her craft. And this portrait, when it goes live, I think you guys will be just absolutely stunned at how good it is. And yeah, I mean, I'm stoked to bring it to life for sure. So we're gonna do something great with that piece and with the funds, and yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. Look for lots of promo from Alex and myself. Let's get this get this piece in the hands of high quality collectors across any and all platforms who are curious and interested in remembering good people doing good things in the world. And yeah, we'll call it good here and get on with the week.
Awesome, everyone. So have a great week. We'll see you guys on Friday. It's going to be another mint party. We actually have 2 mint parties ahead. So looking forward to see you guys. And yeah, have a great one. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.